welcome to We're Not Wizards. We are the best, but not wizards. Enjoy the show!
Quite simply because when I have normally been doing this, and we're not recording the video, so anytime you think I'm being stupid, you can just like make faces at me and stuff like that, right? But normally, anytime I have a podcast guest, they've either podcasted once or twice, or they've not podcasted at all. The number of people that I kind of do this with, it's like, have you done any podcasts? And they're like, no. So I've got to gently take them by the hand. And I'll be honest with you, while Mr. Bonacore claims he's the podfather, the podfather of podcasting, I think you're the quieter guy that stands in the corner to the kind of like the left-hand side of like Capone, kind of, you know, making sure that things happen in the background. Because let's face it, Bonacore's become a bit lackadaisical. He's a bit kind of, you know, he's retired. He's not doing very, very much. Well, you're working away, Mr. Trzewiczek, in the background. You're still working away, making games, creating games, kind of getting the word out there. So
still in the business, that is true.
Still in the business. So that's why I consider you scarier. And as I say, was it 268 episodes or something like that you've done of Board Game Insider or something?
280, yes, and I have a Polish podcast. We just recorded this week 350.
Wow. So this is all. So
yes,
you can understand. I'm just like, what else do we get? So hello, welcome to We're Not Wizards. My name's Richard. I shall be your host for this evening, and it is the glorious end of August, where it's continued to be like scattered showers all over the place. You know, I don't know, I'm considering just casting myself off into an island, just being like a little bit of a Robinson Crusoe. I don't know. I need to do a bit of detective work just to figure out what I'm going to be doing next. I have no idea. Maybe I might disappear, go sunnier climes and become a football manager and just look after my own team, or go into battle. I have no idea. Or maybe, you know, one thing I might do just to escape everything is to dig underground, become myself a bit of a miner, and go and work for the Empire. So there's only one person. If you're going to take a huge portal, all of this, and step through and have a chat, it's got to be, let's face it, he's a legend. I mean, he's better than the Podfather. If you got the Podfather, you'd be disappointed. This is the guy that stands in the corner just staring at you with his steely eyes and saying, you better be recording this right. Otherwise, you're not just going to have cardboard cuts, you're going to get paper cuts. It's the wonderful, fantastic build-up of the century, Mr. Ignacy Trzewiczek. Hello, sir. How are you?
Hello, thank you. How are you doing? That is the most epic introduction I had in my career, and I did a ton of interviews. Like, let's face it, like I'm in the industry for more than 20 years. That was the most epic. So, congratulations.
There's like, it's like Rocky. There's a training montage video of me training to do this intro. Like, it's like me kind of heavy lifting kind of thesauruses, and then there's a scene of me checking your website just to go through all the games that you've done, and then trying to make a list and then getting it wrong, and then trying to make a list and eventually getting it right. And then, you know, I'm like Eminem at the beginning of 8 Mile, just fumbling over my words to the end, and then I'm just coming straight through. So
it was a winner. Congratulations.
Thank you. Now we can end the show because we can all go home. Because from now on, let's face it,
any better, right?
it just goes downhill from now. I've got a couple of questions. Normally, in these things, we do like. I'm a bit sad at the moment because I always like to refer to myself as kind of like I've been called the Michael Parkinson of kind of like board game interviews. It's like a long form interview. Unfortunately, some sad news that Mr. Parkinson passed away not too long ago, so I'm in a bit of mourning. And also because I'm pretty sure, I mean, are you at the point now where you talk about your origin story and you just kind of like make up different things? You add in different details as to how you
I'm
got
not making it up, no.
into board games. You know, like, it was a sunny July, it was snowing, and there was bananas all across the field, and I picked up my case of Scrabble and I kind of started. But anyway, so we're just gonna get into we're gonna do some topic stuff because topic stuff is good. You didn't go to Gen Con for the first time in 10 years.
This year, for the first time in 10 years, I said I need a break. It was ridiculous. For 10 years, my vacation time, my summer time, was flying to America and having some fun in America because interesting country to travel.
Yeah.
But of course, a lot of stress and pressure every single year with the new release for Gen Con. And this year, we found a big plan. I would not say that it was a plan, but that happened. Our release, the main release, was rather focused for Essence. So we said we don't have a new release for Gen Con. We could try to push it. We could try to move it, but we said don't rush it. Don't put pressure on ourselves. Let's see what happens if we don't go to Gen Con and have some new data, new information to analyze.
Yeah.
And I will have this data, of course, after Essence. So for the past 10 years, the strategy for my company was to go for Gen Con with the release, hope for the successful release, hope for some hype from America, and then go to Essen with the game that already has a hype from Gen Con, from America. This year, for the first time in 10 years, we need to build this hype right now before Essen, but without this post-Gen Con hype. So it was my decision, my experiment. On the other hand, we were aware that this year at Gen Con there will be a Disney Lorcana release. We didn't expect what happened because it was absolutely ridiculous what happened at Gen Con in Disney Lorcana, but we knew it would be a huge title. We knew that it would be very hard to break through the noise, to get the message about our game while everybody will be just talking about the Disney Lorcana.
Yes.
So I don't know what's your perception. I don't know what's perception of your listeners and fans of board games. But if I ask you to list 10 hot games from Gen Con, I don't know if you're able to do that. If you're just saying, okay, Gen Con was Lorcana and we don't know what else because it was so strong a message of Lorcana. So I don't know. As I said, the experiment for me for the first time, for the first time in 10 years, I spent summer in Poland, which is cool.
Wow.
I spent it here with my family. And my team is working very, very hard to prepare for the release in Essen without the hype from Gen Con.
Yeah. My view on Lorcana was, I think it was used as a hype train, and I can't see it benefiting everybody else there. Because my view on it, okay, so say you're like, Portal Games is going, it's releasing its next big thing, and then, but it's got to stand. But everybody else around that, you're never going to get kind of like queues for hours and hours for people to see a certain game. There's going to be certain titles that are going to do kind of very, very well. There's going to be a buzz about them. But I don't think they would parasitically take time and people away from it. I think everybody, it's kind of that old saying about the kind of the tide, the rising tide lifting all the ships at the same level. And I think that Lorcana maybe dammed off some of that hype to itself to the detriment of kind of like other people. I think there was two things that people spoke about. One of them was Disney Lorcana. And the only game that I saw gotten hyped was that castle game from those two alleged guys that stole those two pallets. Which seems to be, if you look at like the BGG hotness at the moment, I think it's kind of like the number one game. I mean that, but to me, that's I don't, because there is a hype machine, but I have started to see people talking about, well, I couldn't get my booster sets and my starter sets to Lorcana. And then there's other people saying, did you go down to Walmart or did you go down to the local corner store? Because it looks like Ravensburger is
Yes,
flooding the place with all these
absolutely.
kind of
Yes.
starter sets and
They
booster
have
sets.
a huge distribution. Yeah.
Yes, so they've kind of got that kind of good distribution nailed. On the other side for yourself, was it nice not to have to deal with, I'm guessing, the logistics of the travel, the expense of the flights, having to sit in airports for hours, you
So that
know?
is very interesting balancing act. So on one hand, as I said, for the first time, I was able to spend the summer with my family here in Poland, which was very cool. On the other hand, I was seeing on my Facebook, obviously, my Facebook feed is obviously industry people. So I saw everybody at Gen Con, everybody in the pubs, everybody discussing what's going on. I said, oh my
Yeah.
God, they're having fun and at Gen Con, and I'm here in Poland stuck. And once again, exactly what you're mentioning, for fans of the board games, you guys cannot even imagine how much stress and pressure there is to deliver the product on one particular day in
Yes.
different continent. For me, it's a different continent. I need to ship it
Yes.
from Europe or from China to America, and I cannot miss a day. It must be on Wednesday, this particular Wednesday. It has to make it to Indianapolis. So
Yes.
the pressure, all the adventures we had for years with customs, with some the truck companies, like all the different stories. And each year we made it. Each year we had the product on site. Each year we had a release at Gen Con. But the amount of stress and pressure is insane. So once again, it's a balancing act. On one side, I was missing my friends, industry friends, and missing these pubs and game discussions. Of course, it's a part of the industry that I love.
Yes.
But not having to ship games for Gen Con was quite an awesome thing.
No pallets, no splinters
Yeah.
on the hands from having to actually. I bet you that now have a cupboard full of cling film though of wrap that you didn't
We,
use for wrapping the
exactly,
pallets.
exactly. And now we are preparing for Essen, and the product for Essen is already printed. It is already ready in our warehouse. So on that side, we have no pressure whatsoever. We know that we are prepared for Essen very well, and this will be a good show for us in terms of the no pressure, no stress.
Yeah, yeah, because Essen, and correct me if I'm
Is in
wrong, I've
four
not been.
weeks.
It's 4 weeks. Wow. But it's more of an industry. It was originally more of an industry focused event. It was about the presentation of product and kind of forming
It was
relationships
always
and doing the trading.
it was always a fair where you can buy games. So Gen Con is a little bit different. Gen Con is a full-blown convention. You go to the
Yes.
role-playing game sessions. You can play live-action role-playing games. You have science fiction writers, signing books. Like you have a full-blown nerd heaven, right? While Essen is just go buy a game,
Yeah.
good night.
Yeah.
We don't
Yeah.
have anything for you after you bought the game. There is no seminars, no role playing games, no games room, like no these things. Is a pure one huge amazing game store. You go, you spend €500, and you go home.
Yes. Yeah. In terms of a business, then is Gen Con about building hype and Essen about shifting units for you? Then are you more
Correct.
likely to sell a
Yes.
lot more units at kind of Essen? Yeah.
Each year, if you look in the numbers game, Gen Con in most cases, many cases, was closer to being red numbers, which is that we are losing money because
Yeah.
of the high cost, because of the accommodation, because of the prices, etc., etc. But
Mhm.
these red numbers give you a marketing push to have a green numbers that is income at Essen. That was for years. For us, that case, as I said, this year we decided we don't need any pressure in our life. We don't need red numbers in our life. Let's
Yeah.
just hope for the green numbers in Essen.
And also, I guess there's also, as you get older as well, there's the whole thing about it's like trying something new and trying something kind of different as well. This must be I take it you must have went through a couple of times where you went, oh, we are going to go, or we're not going to go, or were you quite set in your plans from the beginning that you definitely weren't going to to Gen Con this year?
So many of you listeners, many of gamers know me as a game designer, but actually I see myself and what I actually do on a regular basis. I'm a marketing person. Like I'm working in the marketing department, and of course, yes, I designed a couple of games, and they were pretty okay. But my day-to-day job every single day is a marketing. And what we do in the marketing, what I was learning for years about that, is always testing. This
Yeah.
ad is working or this ad is working. This copy is better or this copy is better. This YouTube miniature is better or this YouTube miniature is better. Like in marketing, you're always testing what will be tempting and good for the customers to reach for the product. So my DNA is always trying new things and seeing what happens. So as I said, this year we are testing what happens if you don't go to Gen Con. Is it disaster or maybe no? Did we save some money or did we lose some money?
Yeah.
So I like testing, I like experimenting, and I'm working in this industry for over 20 years. It's good to have some new challenges and some new ideas and some new things to test.
Is it trying to also keep the kind of the excitement to give yourself a slightly different challenge as well? Because I can imagine you could just, and I'm sure there are people that you will see, if you saw them at Gen Con, you would have seen them at UK Games Expo, and then there's people that just go from convention to convention. You see them at UK Games Expo, you see them at Essen, the kind of the next thing, and that's what they
Correct.
do. That is their kind of their marketing thing.
Correct.
And are you just trying to, as you say, you're trying new things to kind of, I guess, kind of keep it exciting and get you looking at stuff from kind of different angles as well?
This is for me, it's a new challenge because now I need to put much more effort to promote the game without the hype from Gen Con. So there's a lot of new tasks for me, and this is cool. I like new tasks. And once again, the industry is changing. Asmodee is just getting bigger and bigger every year. And we independent publishers need to find new tools, new ideas. And when I was considering, I can go to Gen Con, I can spend that much money and then be just crushed by hype from Disney Lorcana or a new Star Wars game from Asmodee.
Yeah.
Why spend this money on
Yeah.
Gen Con? And just everybody will be talking about Lorcana anyway. So I might be wrong. We don't know. Some publishers went for Gen Con, and as I said, I don't know if they break to the noise of Disney Lorcana. I'm not sure. And I saved some money, and now I'm spending them on some Facebook ads, YouTube ads, preparation for the SN, bigger booth at SN. So I'm trying to invest this money in different way. As I said, we will, and how my company is working, we evaluate at the end of the year the whole process, what we did this particular year, yes, how we spend money, where were our gains, where were our losses, and we will evaluate. At this point, being 2 weeks after Gen Con, I don't feel like I'm not sitting at home and in the office saying, "Oh my God, there was a mistake. What I did, that was stupid." I don't have this feeling. I rather think I think it was good that I was not trying to compete with Disney Lorcana. We will see what will happen at this.
Well, I think, as I say, I think you're right in that and I joked about the two headlines, but I've not. There is usually like a darling of the show that comes out of nowhere that people kind of talk about at Gen Con, and I've not. I'm yet to see that kind of yeah. You mentioned Asmodee. Now, I think we're probably wearing the same set of shoes when it comes to Asmodee. I'm not concerned, but I'm very concerned when you get people that are involved in a company because of the money and they only see the money. And I already see that, it was funny that the last thing I heard from the Embracer group that own Asmodee was something about, well, they lost out on a big deal from Saudi Arabia. And I'm kind of like, okay, but I'm yet to hear the stories about Embracer Group gets involved in 24-hour board game charity, or I'm yet to hear the story about here's one of the heads of Asmodee's kind of current top 10 games that they're like. There doesn't seem to be the kind of the personal side to Asmodee, and they talk about kind of issues and challenges with things like customer service and things like that. My opinion on it is I think there needs to be, board games are built around people and communities, and I think that the money can only keep you going for so long before people start to go, actually, we need to kind of like the personal touch. In terms of your distribution model, I mean, how do you deal with this? Are you fully distributing all the product yourself? Do you go to kind of smaller distribution companies to deal with any kind of distribution that you deal with?
Yes, Portal Games is 4 years since 2015, so it's 7 years right now, 8 years right now. We are
Wow.
distributed in America by PSI, which is one of the biggest distributors in America, and we work with smaller distributors, but also the biggest one in America, so ACD, GTS, etc., etc. So we have the full-blown distribution established for years. The games like Robinson Crusoe, First Martians, Detective, all these games were always available in America very, very easily. But of course, as you said, the environment in America is changing. These distributors, I don't want to go too deep into that because I don't want to get in trouble. But basically,
Yes.
my perception is that those distributors these days are weaker, smaller than they used to be, because
Yes.
North America Asmodee is a new distributor in America that was founded a couple of years ago and is getting bigger and bigger. They have in a catalog Asmodee games, which is basically most of the games on the market right now.
Yes.
So all those 5 distributors who were mm, keeping the whole industry 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and I was signing with them contracts and they were very powerful. And now they are not that powerful because Asmodee is the most powerful player in the industry. So yes, for us, for our company, what we see, we still have the same reach as we used to have. So like I still have access to all stores in America. And if there is any gamer in America, if they want my game, they can go to a local game store and says, I want to buy Detective. And this local game store can buy it from the distributor, no problem.
Yes.
But on the other hand, I see that the numbers of the games sold per year are smaller because we are competing with the big gorilla, big game, and the push of new games of Star Wars, new game of Lord of the Rings, new game of all these amazing IPs are put on the shelves, and the retailers don't always think about some Vienna connection without any
Yeah.
IP or some other smaller game. So we see that our distribution chain is the same as it used to be 5 or 10 years ago, but the numbers we are building with these distributors are smaller than they were in this couple of years ago because of this very, very high competition model. But it is what it is. I'm still happy doing what I love, which is games. I'm selling these games, so maybe it is not good to complain. But being realistic, yes, the distribution these days is harder than it used to be a couple of years ago.
So are you looking into like different ways of distribution, like say the likes of kind of like your like let's look at the other big boy, Amazon. I mean, is that
Yes.
something that you would look at, jump into?
Yes,
Do you
yes,
currently?
we couple of years ago we decided to put much more effort in our own web store to get direct to the customer, and with our web store we have a very good numbers, and we have a lot of loyal fans who buy directly from us. And yes, we invest a lot in Amazon as well. Our products on Amazon are we care a lot for our products at Amazon, so all the
Yeah.
pages are beautiful pictures, exactly perfect description, all the things that you can make happen that the
Yes.
customer will pick your game at Amazon are done. So these are the tools that we are using to increase our sales, as simple as that.
Yeah, yeah. Are you on a, have you got a kind of a seller central setup? So you selling directly to consumer, or do you sell to Amazon and then they sell the games
We
on?
sell to Amazon. We are using
You're
this
an
PSI
event.
company. Yes, we are one of the vendors working with Amazon, and Amazon is listing these games as official. So yes, we have everything intact.
Okay, okay, okay. Let's let's go, let's go get away from the coal mine of Amazon and let's talk about other bits of mining. Let's talk about kind of Imperial Miners. And I know it's a record for me to actually start talking about somebody's game kind of before 45 minutes have kind of gone past. But let's talk about Imperial Miners. Because it comes in the same universe as Imperial Settlers. Am I correct?
This interesting case. We are doing it for the first time in the company. So I'm very eager to see what will happen and how the perception of fans and feedback will be, because Imperial Settlers is a game that I designed almost 10 years ago. And then
Wow.
I did Imperial Settlers Empires of the North standalone game in the same universe, once again designed by me. And then I did Imperial Settlers Roll and Ride. Once again, my game in the same universe, engine
Yeah.
building, Roll and Ride. And now, for the first time, in the same universe of Imperial Settlers, in the same genre of the game, that is a card-driven engine builder, we have the game from the different designer. So Tim Armstrong, designer of Arcana Rising and Orbis, he sent us a prototype of the game. It was
Yeah.
not Imperial Settlers. It was a game about um, diving in the seas. And we played the prototype. We said, Tim, we love the prototype. It's really
Yeah.
smart, interesting game. But we don't fancy a game about the divers. Like, can we change the theme? What do you think? And Tim said, if you're going to publish the game, if you're going
Yeah.
to care for the game, push it,
Mm.
let's discuss changing the theme. And we said, Portal Games is known in the industry for engine building games like Imperial Settlers
Yeah.
for years. Let's
Yes.
do, because your game is engine builder. Let's do it as a part of this family. And one of the most famous families of games in the industry these days is a cartographers, and cartographers is like a whole family of the
Yes.
great games in the one world. But these games are very different, but it's a one world cartographers. So we
Yes.
said to Tim, let's do your game in a part of Imperial Settlers universe. We will retheme the game. We will do amazing artwork, amazing components, and it will make perfect sense because the engine builder. And Tim said, green light, let's do this. And then my development team spent a couple of weeks, or I think it was 2 months, changing all the cards
Yes.
to feed our worlds, to feed our IP, and I think they did a great job. So, for all of your listeners who will play this game, if they don't know the backstory, if they don't know the game was in the beginning about the divers, they
Yes.
would think it was natively designed that way. Like the factions that my development team added to the game, the small interactions between these factions and special rules work perfectly with the theme of the game. So kudos to them. And now we are buying the game
Mhm.
that feels like perfect Imperial Settlers game, and it's amazing, even though it was done post factum, after the game was designed, after
Yeah.
the
Yeah.
game
Yeah.
was
Yeah.
play tested. Suddenly
Yeah.
we said, okay, the game is amazing, but let's change the theme. So kudos to my team. And now, yes, Imperial Settlers, Imperial Miners, standalone game by the different designer, different rules, different set of nice tricks and nice ideas in the game, but one big family, Imperial Settlers.
Did you then have to make sure that you weren't changing a lot of the game? Because I can imagine it's like it would be like a director directing an entire 7 series of a TV show, and then having another director coming in as a giving them a new chance.
You're
Did you have to
yes.
kind of go, oh, I need to let them kind of breathe themselves and discover their own kind of design shoes, if you know what
You're
I mean?
absolutely right, and my team was in touch with team, so there is like information team. These
Mm.
cards work like that in your prototype. We want to
Yeah.
change it to that way. Like this is these tokens work like that in your game. We want to make
Mm.
it like these tokens, and so it was like a small steps of changes. Everything was accepted by team, and now, as I said, I'm very proud. I actually, believe it or not, but today I was mailing with team because he just received his copies, like designer copies.
Wow.
Finally, he received it. He sent me email that the game looks absolutely gorgeous, and he's very proud and very happy. And he asked me today in the email. He was asking me, "Are we making it for Essen? Like it is that we are ready for Essen?" I said, yes, everything is finished. We will make it for Essen. So
Wow.
he's eager for the official release of the game as well. But exactly this week he received his copies, and he said, "Good job, Portal Games." So I'm very proud that he's happy.
Because I think it's easy to forget that often when a designer designs a game and it goes through the development and the printing, the first time they get to see the finished product is when they've done a couple of runs and it's kind of going out into the wild as well. So I guess you kind of forget that they're looking on this. And have the designer, have they designed a couple of games before? Is this like their first
He
kind
did
of big
he did
design
two
for them?
game he did two games that are quite recognizable in the industry. One was Orbis with Asmodee, and one was
Ah,
Arcana Rising with Grey Fox Games. Both very good, very smart
yeah.
games. So he has some respect in the industry already, but he's still a young designer in the industry. So we hope he will bring more amazing games in the future. But this year he's coming with us with this new game, and as I said, I'm very proud. I'm very happy that he's proud. So now, fingers crossed that people will like the game.
So if you were going to give us like the 30-second pitch of what Imperial Miners is all about, for people who
The
are looking
game-
at it,
yeah. So if you like engine builders, this is most important. So we are building your own tableau, you are building your own cards, we are building synergies between cards. I put this card, so I activate this card, so I have this victory points, so I get this resource. Like we all know the jazz. Like we are building our farm of victory points and we are getting them from all the places. So this is this type of the game. And where is the twist? Where is this uniqueness that I fell in love when I was signing the game? We play all simultaneously. And this is not that obvious for engine builders. And you guys remember that when you play engine builders, we all love these combos. We all love these amazing synergies that we are building.
Yes.
But the downtime in these games can be killing because you're waiting for other player. When he
Yes.
finishes his combo, he gets 25 points. It takes 5 minutes.
Yes.
And in this game, what Tim said, I'm doing it. Everybody plays one card at once. Everybody activates their combo at once, and then we move to the next round. And suddenly, what he achieved to do is that you are getting this adrenaline, this positive push when you are activating your cards. You are getting these victory points. You are getting all these amazing, cool things. And then you look at other players, and they just finish their round as well. And you also another round. And so you play another round. You get all these amazing victory points. You get all these amazing resources. You look at the table, next round, and there's no freaking downtime. So he managed to pack the actual engine building fun, getting these ridiculous number of victory points and resources in half an hour game. Maybe half an hour, maybe not. 40 minutes without the downtime. And this is the biggest point of the game, that I love the game, and you can play it 2-player, 3-player, 4-player, 5-player, and it always is 40 minutes because we play all together. And Dice Tower released 2 days ago a review, and they said that this is multiplayer solitaire, which is true. So we are playing multiplayer at the table, but actually everybody is getting the victory points like crazy, and we are just checking if everybody's okay. So great fun in 40 minutes. And in each round, you just get new stuff, new resources, new victory points, and you're very happy because you have this positive push in every single round. And as I said, plays 40 minutes, beautiful production, amazing illustrations. So yeah, no brainer for me.
Do you take cards from the same pool, or are you dealing with your own deck of cards, or is everybody taking the cards from like a central pool? So there is some kind of trying to grab cards from other people.
But you are drawing them from the deck, so you don't know what you will draw, right? So there's not the open market of the cards. You just draw from the top of the card of the deck. So as for the interaction between the players, not much. It's just we play together and we check who gets the most victory points. Like in most of Euro games, like I always give these examples. You play a beautiful Golem from Cranial Creation. You play a beautiful Praga Caput Regni from Vlada Soka. All these big Euro games, they're always multiplayer, but solitaire, because you're making these combos, you're making these synergies, and you're not attacking each other. If you want to attack each other, you go to play Blood Rage, which is amazing, right?
Or you just get a pillow and you just start smacking the other person across the. I mean, you might as well do it directly after the game. Big pillow fight, and then you can have s'mores, or you can have whatever. In terms of, you mentioned get is ready for Essen. You also mentioned it's printed as well.
Yes, everything is ready.
So everything is already, the copies of the games are all printed. So you're not going to any kind of crowdfunding platform or anything like that at all, no?
Everything is ready. We have the game on a pre-order right now on the website, and people who pre-order from us will get it 2 weeks before Essen, because of course we appreciate the support for the publisher. So yes, everything is ready. Essen in 4 weeks, in 5 weeks. So yes, it's happening.
Was that not a bit different from what you've done before? Because like the previous game I saw was like 11, which was on GameFound.
Yes, we split our titles, split our catalog in 2 categories: the games that go directly to the retail, and the games that go to the crowdfunding. What's the rule? Was the reason to do that? For a game like like Imperial Miners, is a
Yes.
game part of the family of Imperial Settlers. We know that there is so many fans of Imperial Settlers. There is a
Yes.
fan base. We know that we can release this game, and we know that people will be waiting in the stores to buy it. It's a safe bet to reach our fans with a game that we know they love it. But then we
Yeah.
do some experiments because I have mentioned we do love experiments. So when
Yes.
I get the prototype of the game that is about the football, and nobody cares about the football in America, apparently. Uh, I'm not that sure if there will be a line in the stores to buy a game of the football, right? About the soccer.
Yes. Yes.
So for unique themes, for the weird ideas, like we did a Kickstarter also for my game Prêt-à-Porter. Prêt-à-Porter is an economic game about the fashion industry. Who the hell
Yes.
wants to buy the game about the fashion industry? Not many people, probably. So we are not risking that. So for these weird ideas, for the weird games that I think that deserve to be published,
Yeah.
deserve to be on the shelves on the players, but I don't feel comfortable risking a lot of money to go to the printer and then be surprised. I
Yeah.
say, let's check it. Let's go to the
Yeah.
game fund. Let's see if there are backers. There are backers. We print it. This very simple distinction. If there is if the game is part of the our existing line, if you know there is a fan base, we go directly to retail. We don't bother with the Kickstarter. If there is very interesting, original, but weird theme, let's check out the Kickstarter first. Let's see if there is indeed a demand for the game.
It's just it's quite an eclectic kind of different mix of games.
Yep.
Because obviously I was looking through kind of the stuff that you've done. So there's things like Monolith Arena,
Yep.
all the way to Prêt-à-Porter, and I'm like, I can't imagine. I'd have loved to be in part of the conversation where you're all sitting round having a coffee or something, and you just say, "Do you know what we need? What, a war game? No, not a war game. Are we doing another detective series? No, no, no. We need a game about the fashion industry. That's what we need." And they're like checking your drink to see if somebody's put a whiskey in it. But
That is, yes,
but
you're
if you
absolutely
think
right.
about it, it makes absolute sense that you're quite literally putting together different components in order to kind of look at getting some kind of approval, in order to kind of build towards this kind of end game kind of euro. And it's almost like it's not a case of, well, why hasn't it been done before? I understand about the football stuff because there is another there's a good old Scottish boy up here where I'm from who's done a couple of football games, management games. One of them's like a deck builder game, which is, it's a beautiful kind of very quick, lovely kind of football game. But it's very, very kind of UK and almost European focused. I could imagine putting
Exactly.
it in
For
stores.
America, it's crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, in America, they're just like, no, I heard somebody saying the reason that Americans don't like soccer is because the scores aren't high enough. And it's like,
Zero,
no,
zero.
just because you give 7 points for a touchdown doesn't mean, doesn't mean that anybody's scoring higher. Actually, you just put the kind of the goals. But when you're looking at games, more interestingly, do you look at games based on, are you mechanically driven or theme driven? Do you look about and go, oh, I'm going past this sewing shop, I wonder if there's a game that we could make about sewing? Or are you a case of, I really like kind of this drafting mechanic and this take that mechanic, what kind of theme could I kind of fit around that instead? So where'd you
Yes,
kind of
yes.
drive from?
When we get the prototypes from the designers, when we work in the house with the development team, we are trying to make games that the theme is extremely strongly shown through the rules,
Yeah.
and this is true for most of our games that we released. So mm, uh, I always say when I do a seminar at the convention that I have a huge respect for Stefan Feld, one of the most famous German designers, but this is not my cup of tea. I have a huge respect for him. I met him
Yes.
personally. He's so fun, amazing guy. Like you would not believe
Yeah.
that he's so funny. So he's a great designer, but this is not my cup of tea. And if I have a submission of the new prototype from Stefan Feld, I
Yes.
would most likely said, no, Stefan, go to somebody else because you have a great games, but they don't fit portal games.
Uh-huh.
And on the other hand, you have designers like Eric Lang, and they do a Blood Rage, and you see everything is happening. We're
Yeah.
getting these forces and fighting and getting all the things. So I see, okay, this is portal games game. this Simon game, obviously, but that is something that I would publish if I have this chance. So for us, when we are looking for the prototype for the new game, it is always, if at the end of the game, are you going to say that you achieved something and you can say something interesting thing that would happen, or you will just say I scored 72 points? If you will just say you just scored 72 points, it's not interesting for me. But
Yeah.
if you say that you beat that and go there and things happen, blah 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 blah, I say okay, you got the interesting story, you got experience, you got some excitement. This is the game that I want to publish. So we are looking for the games that tell stories. This is our tagline: board games that tell stories. And it is not always true. Sometimes we will publish the game that is just strictly brilliant rules and not much
Yes.
theme. But the main focus for the company is if the game tells an interesting story and people will be talking about it afterwards.
Do you make sure that you take enough time away from Portal just to sit down and enjoy playing games? And I'll give you the reason for this, because I saw a thread recently about people in the media side of things saying, I feel a bit burned out. Is this the same thing? And it's a case of, well, remember why you got into this in the first place. Was you loved board games. So for you, is it the same? Do you make sure you take that time out?
Absolutely. So the thing is that I am a really insane nerd and geek, and I play a ton of games. So it's like these Euro games, these board games that we are discussing that I'm publishing is just a part of the craziness that I'm in, because I play a lot of miniature games like Games Workshop. I They owe me a lot of money for the past 30 years. And I was buying these miniatures. So I play a lot of miniature games, which is part of my hobby. The other thing is that I still play role-playing games. This is something that brought me to the industry. I was at the very beginning, I was a writer for role-playing games, and I still till today I play with my friends role-playing games. And besides that, there's a third hobby that I have around our culture, our hobby is war games like GMT games, Columbia
Yeah.
games, all these nerdy, crazy games that have 40 pages of rules and very tiny tokens and very complex rules. So, besides trying new samples, playing new games, seeing what's Disney Lorcana, seeing what's the new from Gen Con, seeing what's new from Essen, and this is
Yeah.
part of the job. Sometimes, as you said, sometimes I'm worn out and I don't want to see another game from Essen because I already tested 50 of them. So, but besides that, I'm still playing war games, historical war games, miniature games, role-playing games. So yeah, a lot of gaming in my life.
Have you seen this yet? I'm just gonna look. You're just gonna have to wait. Look. Have you seen this one at
Halls
all?
of Hegra. I saw it on a crowdfunding.
Halls of Hegra.
It's on my list to play. I saw and I heard good things about it.
I like I know Tompet, the guy from Tompet Games. He was on the show ages and ages ago, and he did a it's Petter. He did a game based around the Roman Empire called Donning the Purple. And then Halls of
heard of this game.
Hegra kind of came out, and I thought, wow, I'm going to get my hands on that. But I saw David Thompson, who designed I mean, if I say I saw
Undaunted.
David Thompson, yeah, everything, yeah. I mean,
Yeah.
he's like, and he's saying, "Oh, this game's a masterpiece," and I'm like, "Well, I have to, I
Yeah.
have to." But what intrigues me is the solo play kind of fact. It is just a solo player game, and I'm just wondering kind of what it's like to be like. So it's good to hear that you've probably got it on your list. Have you got a copy yet, or is it something you're
I'm going to buy it. Like I saw it because it
trying to
was
get hold of?
delivered. Like if I think I see it on the social media like for a month or something like this. I think this is new in terms of the delivering from the Kickstarter. So yes, it's on my list to buy.
Good. Well, I'll tell you what, I will play it, and then I will let you know how it plays.
I
Basically,
appreciate it.
well, I don't know, because it's one of these things, because I got it myself. It's like I'm gonna go ahead and kind of I'm gonna just write some words on it sometimes, but it's that pressure of, because you're in the kind of the media type of stuff, and I'm sure you feel the same thing as well, because of the side of the industry that you're in. It's like you see a new game and it's like, oh, what could I do with this that would help kind of what I'm kind of doing. But one of the questions that and leading into one of the questions that I did have, which was, there's a lot of media people about, and especially in like the last kind of even 4 or 5 years, with the different kind of platforms that are available and things like that. You've got your TikTok and you've got your Instagrams and stuff like that as well. How do you even begin to kind of decide who you kind of want to work with?
It's difficult. It's a great question, and to be honest, at this very moment, I'm struggling. As I was mentioning, this 5 years ago, 10 years ago, life was so much simpler. There was Rodney Smith, there was Tom Vassell, and there was like 2 or 3 other YouTubers, and we were just
Yeah.
sending out review copies, and that's all. And now you have TikTok influencers, and you need to understand the TikTok to see who is an important influencer on TikTok. You have the whole thing with Instagram. So we are struggling. I don't know how it's for another publishers, but for us, on one hand, we work with the reviewers that we are working for years.
Yeah.
But it's hard for us to decide which of the new ones influencers are important and which one to work with. On the one hand, of course, I would love to send the review copies to everyone, but that means I print 1,000 copies and I give out 1,000 copies. This is obviously impossible, right? So we
Yeah.
need to pick. We need to have these 20, 50 copies of reviews and decide where to ship them. So I think that this is the question that is very important, very good, and I don't have a good answer. Like, this is really for us struggle to see where is the most value for the customers, where is the most value for the gamers, where they can get the best review, best feedback about the game.
I think it comes down to the kind of the success. And how do you measure the success? You know, if somebody comes to you and says, I've got an audience of, you know, a couple of hundred people, but these people are constantly buying product, or you can trace back and they are continually buying, or they're saying, oh, I just bought this based on you. And the other side of it is like kind of like permanency as well. It's like, I've had this discussion before, but it's like if somebody does do like, say, a TikTok video or an Instagram reel or a Facebook video, how long does that actually stay in circulation? You know, and also you get the other side of it is if somebody does like a 3-minute YouTube video, is that too short for anybody to consider? But at the same time, you know, if it's getting like a couple of hundred views, how many of those 100 views are actually going ahead and kind of purchasing the game
I
or being more informed about the game? I can imagine it being an absolute nightmare. You know?
Yeah, I totally agree, and you're absolutely right here that we as a publishers, I'm speaking about my company, but I think that I speak about many companies. We don't have knowledge and expertise to actually be able to analyze where is the best value to send these review copies, who has the
Yeah.
loyal fans, who has the impact on the sales, who is the reviewer that people actually listen to. So it is very difficult. As I said, at this point, we are shipping review copies to the people that we were always shipping to.
Yes.
And I know that I should adjust to the new times, to the new technologies, and I just don't know how.
It's just I wouldn't know myself, and I'm somebody that I look at social media. But then again, I think one of the strange things about it, one of the things I heard, and you'll know this about the podcasting, is that I saw somebody saying that if you get like 100 downloads on your podcast, you're automatically in like the top 5% of all podcasts ever kind of made. And if you get like, you know, a couple of thousand, then you're into like the top 0.5% or something like that. And it's like, so how many people do I know that have got a podcast where they get a couple of hundred listens who are going to be in and out of the chart, you know?
You mentioned that there's one thing is the numbers, so how many views, how many listens, and then do you have this authority that your listeners, your viewers trust you and they will make a purchase based on your review,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
Because from many reviewers, from many podcasters, we get the stats, we get the data, so they provide us. This is how many podcasts we recorded, this is how many downloads we have, this is how many audience we have on our Discord, this is how many audience we have on our Facebook. But what they cannot provide is, if we publish a review, if people trust us, if people listen to our opinion, if people respect our call to action. This game is amazing, buy it. And we as a publishers have no clue. So we just ship these games to the reviewers that we trust. They create a great content because, of course, we watch the content. So we send to those that we think they create a great content. And then we keep our fingers crossed that some other people think that the content is good.
Yeah. Have you is the future plan for Portal, is it just to keep going until somebody grabs you by the collar and says, Ignacy, it's time for bed?
Yeah, so for us, obviously, when I was starting the company, I had no plan that I would be almost 50 years old and still do the job. So yeah, I'm surprised that the gig lasts so long. At this point, I don't have a strict plan that says 10 more years and I'm done. There is no plan like that.
Yeah.
I'm working less than I used to work. I have a great team of people. We hire new people, of course, every year. Some new people joining our team. So my team is here in Poland quite young. They are making fun of me that for some of them could be my kids. This is insane. So we are
just tell them to
slowly-
go to their room then.
Exactly. So we are in the situation that may be the case that in a couple of years, the young team will be running the company and have a blast and have this energy and this drive, and I will be maybe sitting in the back seat, just seeing how things are going. So no, there is no decision, no plan. I'm loving what I'm doing. We are creating great games. We have some new interesting titles for the next year that we'll be announcing very, very soon. So at this point, we are having fun. The company is bringing money, so this is good. So no changes planned for upcoming few years.
But so here's a hypothetical question: if a business approached you and they were selling, if they were selling, like, say, widgets, and they were selling, well, we've got a solid product, and we sell different types of widgets kind of every year, and we develop new widgets, and we need somebody who can help us with the marketing of the game, that help us with the marketing of the product, that can get it into reviewers' hands, that can deal with logistics and manufacturing, and you'll get a nice wad of money off the back of it. Would you do that? Would you skip kind of industries or is it the passion that kind of keeps you going as well?
I would say that 5 years ago or 10 years ago, I would definitely say no. I love what I'm doing. I'm here, and I can easily see myself, as you just said, like in 5 years, that I'll be said, okay, I did in board gaming well. I'm proud of what I did. Let's try something new. So at this point, I'm not tired yet. I'm still have excitement when I'm going to Essen and I'm looking at the geek list on Board Game Geek, what's new. But I can easily see myself that at some point I will say, let's try something new. Because as I said at the very beginning, my whole daytime job is testing. I like testing.
Yeah. Would you consider, like, say, maybe ditching Bonacore and getting somebody who does work for a living to podcast?
Yeah.
Stephen, if you're listening, I'm only joking. Or am I? But I mean, you've got the podcast. You said you do your own Polish podcast as well. With you kind of like talking about the board game industry and stuff like that all the time. What do you have hobbies that don't involve?
Yes, I'm involved in sports. Like I'm not only I play, but besides playing football or volleyball, I also support. Like I watch a lot of sports in TV. I'm going to the matches. I'm going when Polish national team of volleyball plays. I go with them for the matches. So this is part of my life, and I'm heavily supporting volleyball, Polish volleyball in general. And gaming, as I said, my job is Euro games, board games, but I'm doing all these other gaming activities that I love. And I'm also, as I mentioned, full geek. So I spend a ton of time reading comic books and reading science fiction and fantasy novels. Like here is Conan.
Okay.
Here is Ed Brubaker. Like my desk is full of comic books and novels. So I read a lot, like big part of the day, like an hour or maybe 2 hours a day, I'm just reading because I love great stories and science fiction and fantasy novels and comic books are absolutely amazing.
Just bragging. He's just showing me all these stuff. You don't have this though. You don't have the. I've got this. I've got Halls of Hegra. I've got Halls of Hegra. No,
yes.
I'm gonna message Peter on Facebook and say, look, Ignacy Trzewiczek. You might have heard of him. He's a boy from Portal Games. Might want to buy a game from him. Might want to buy a game from him. Right. He said some really, really terrible things about Dawn in the Purple. He said it should have been called Dawn in the Brown because it was pretty bad. So I think you don't send him a copy, and maybe I'll do that. Maybe. Or do you know what? I'll get him to sell. I'll get him to send one to Bonacore, and then put a note inside saying, "Don't let Ignacy play this. Don't let Ignacy play this." Wonderful. If I was going to say, this sounds like the most ridiculous question in the world, but if people have listened along this evening and they want to find out where you exist on the internet webs, where do you exist on the internet webs? Where can they find you?
This is very difficult for you listeners because my home base, my starting point for finding me in the internet is my website. But my website address is my name and a surname, which for English-speaking people is impossible to write in the internet. So if you manage to write in the internet ignacytrzewiczek.com, you will find my website, and there's my blog, and there's my podcast, and there's everything. But I think that you have to go to Board Game Geek, find any of my games, then copy my name, and then put my name into the Chrome, and then you will find my blog.
Or I could put the links in the show note.
That would be very nice.
I could do that.
Yeah. So on a serious note, every Friday, I write an article about the game design, about the industry, like things that are important for me and hopefully for you, for the geeks. So every Friday, once a week, there is a new article on my blog. You can go there every week and read it, and then you find links to my Twitter, my Instagram, my YouTube channel. But what I'm most proud of is my writing. I published 2 books about game design, and I keep writing these articles every single Friday. So I invite you to ignacytrzewiczek.com, and this is the starting point to learn about me.
I will make sure that I put the links in the show notes so people can click away and they can read away. If you've listened along tonight and you like what you listened to with us, you can go to the internet webs and search for We Are Not Wizards, and you'll find us in all the different places on the internet where they don't allow wizards. If you like what you've listened to, please go to your podcast catcher of choice and give us a rating or review. If you are going to be giving us a rating or review, give us more stars than you give Bonacore. That's all I'm saying. Just do it. It's not like a vendetta. There's nothing going on. No. It's not like he's been on the show.
It doesn't feel like that, absolutely.
It's not a vendetta. It's not. He calls himself the podfather, right? And he's done 280 episodes. I'm like rocking almost 500 here. So, if he's coming for the crown, come on. But go to your podcast catcher of choice and drop us some ratings. Remember, don't give us 10 stars because it makes us big-headed, but don't give us 1 star because it makes me cry. Give us something in the middle, like a 5, because it's average. And I'm just a little bit average, but the person who's not been average is the rather wonderful, rather fantastic Ignacy Trzewiczek. Thank you very, very much for guesting. There's only 2 more things to do. First things to remember, we're many things, but we're not wizards. Are we wizards, Ignacy?
On many levels, I would say yes.
Right, okay.
I'm sorry.
I prefer Stephen. And it's a time to also say goodbye. So it's a goodbye from, I was going to say he's the winning 11. I was going to say he's the man who would never Hiroshima hex you. He's the guy that would always make sure you were ready to wear. But he's just an absolute disappointment. Say goodbye, Ignacy.
I'm sorry to disappoint you. Wizard, Ignacy.
And it's a goodbye from me. Remember, stay safe, roll 6s, make something awful. And if there's one lesson, don't meet your heroes because they'll ultimately disappoint you. But until the next time, goodbye.
Take care. Bye-bye.
A wizard is never licked. Nor is he early. He arrives precisely when he means to.